we have the people that are watching the sky and recording what's happening in the sky on a daily basis are also tracking like the price of goods in the market. They're tracking political events or other things happening in their environment. And it becomes like several texts refer to it, or modern scholars refer to it as like the longest running scientific program in history because it
Yeah.
ran for something at least like 500 years or something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. It starts kind of 8th century, 7th century. There's like, they're not perfectly preserved, right? So there's a couple early examples, but then by, 5th century, they are doing it nonstop and they collect these into larger kind of compendia of diaries of observations. Yeah. It's incredibly detailed and it's a huge source of information, both for astronomy and for history.
One of the cool ones is they record so many major historical events. You mentioned the death of Alexander. Another one is
Hmm.
one of the diaries records Alexander's victory at the Battle of Gaugamela. And they say that there was a lunar eclipse that occurred like shortly
Yep.
before that. And then the Persian king is defeated, and then that's the end of essentially the Persian Empire that had dominated in the area for the previous 2 centuries
Yep.
and is the start of the Hellenistic era and the dominance of the Macedonians and the Greeks over that era. And you have this, astrologer, astronomer who's like writing down, what was
Yeah.
happening
Yeah.
in the sky and on the earth, like at that time as he's witnessing these events.
Yeah, and I love like I mentioned already Alexander's death, right? But I love how mundane it is sometimes, where it's like the king of the world died, cloudy, right? Like just
Yeah.
making these associations just in these texts, because that's what they're trained to do. They're trained to just watch and record, and also interpret, right? These are the same people who are writing other astrological texts and complex texts, but they're just there to just watch everything around them, which is again what the texts are called, right? Regular watching.
At the end of that report, he says that Saturn was in Gemini, and at the end of the month, it had moved into Cancer, and that Mars was in Virgo. I think that's
Hmm.
in the month that Alexander died. So it's the cloudy thing, in that he couldn't see what was happening in the sky that day, but then that
Yeah.
month he was broad noticing the broader whatever patterns as well.
Yeah, exactly. So I mentioned, right, they always record for the month what zodiac sign. So this is, we can talk briefly about the invention of the zodiac in a bit, but this is the zodiac is now operational in astrology and astronomy. And so they record what sign a planet is in, and also if a planet is shifting between signs during the month. So that's part of every observation includes that as well.